You're watching Voices in Mystery, and I'm your host, Nancy Carlson. Returning with us today is Carl Brookins. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
Carl was on a couple years ago, and we're glad to have you back. You hail from the Minneapolis area.
That's correct.
Live in town or out in a suburb? Or
I live in a suburb that's equidistant from the downtown of both St. Paul and Minneapolis. So
Good.
I'm a Twin Cityan.
A Twin City, and you don't favor one over the other.
That's correct.
It's a little scary to have you on the show since you host your own television show. Tell us about that and who you work with.
Well, I work with two other authors, Kent Kruger and Ellen Hart, and both mystery writers, both accomplished award-winning mystery writers in the Twin Cities. And 10 years ago, we started a partnership to do promotion so that we could share both the expenses and the time involvement. And we've been together 10 years. We've done over 2 national tours and over 300 appearances, and we decided to start, among other things, a television series.
So what do you call yourselves?
We call ourselves the Minnesota Crime Wave.
You're not the only 3 mystery writers in Minnesota, right?
Oh, no, there are hundreds, actually.
Hundreds of them.
We have that title.
And you mine the others that write in your region to be guests on your show?
Correct. And one of the unique things, as I mentioned to you, is that all 3 of us do the interviewing all at once. So there are at least 4 people at the table at all times. And we do it in the round.
Similar to this.
Yep, we do it in the round. So the interviewee gets hit from 3 different sides, and that's fun.
It is a lot of fun.
It is.
But you're a writer on your own. You're very proud of your next book. Let's talk about Devil's Island. We took a picture of it so that our viewers can see it. What is Devil's Island, and set us up as readers of this book?
Devil's Island takes place in the Apostle Islands of Lake Superior, off the south shore, off the north shore of Wisconsin. Devil's Island is a real island. That's why there's no apostrophe in the title.
Okay.
And it's about, I'm really particularly proud of it because my protagonist, Mary Whitney, has a violent confrontation with her deranged ex-husband, which is the nut of the story. And she's stalked by him, and I really like writing about a strong, intelligent, accomplished woman. And the women in my books, I'm told by other people, are really good characters. And I ascribe that to the fact that I grew up with 3 really strong, bright women, my 2 daughters, and my wife, you see.
Does one of the 2 characters you described live on Devil's Island?
No. There's an interesting phenomenon in Lake Superior. People go to Lake Superior and they feel something different than they do when they go to the ocean or go to other lakes, and nobody knows exactly what it is, but partly because it's so big, it's like an inland sea, and because it's so cold, 50 degrees is the average water temperature in the middle of summer. So there's a legend that it never gives up its dead, which is not really true, but there are a lot of legends around Lake Superior, and people go there, and when they see it, and they feel an attraction. And the reason the book is set there is that Mary Whitney wants to go back for the 2nd time in her life, and she's 40 years old, to this lake, to experience it again, and to sail among the islands, and sort of commune with that natural element.
So do you sail, or did you have to research that yourself?
I do sail. My wife and I have been recreational sailors for years, and it's part of my sailing series, one of my 3 series. The book, we were, as recreational sailors, we sailed all over the world because we discovered very early on that if there's a piece of water big enough to sail on, somebody will rent you a boat. So we don't have to own one. So if we want to sail, as one year we said, let's go sail off Yugoslavia. Interesting coast. So we flew to Yugoslavia instead of sailing a boat there, and did our whole vacation sailing the coast of Yugoslavia rather than taking the time to sail a boat across the ocean.
And you say sailing is involved in one of your other series?
No, this
series
is the series. This is the latest book in the series. There are 4 other books in the sailing series, and then I write a detective series.
All right, I want to hear about that.
Well, the detective series, my detective is named Sean. He has no middle initial, and he's not Irish. And he doesn't know why his name has the same first and last name. He's very short, 5'2" on a good day. And it is one of my heroes growing up was Shel Scott in the Shel Scott detective series in the 40s and 50s, written by a man named Richard Prather. And this is kind of an homage to that kind of detective novel. My detective is short. He doesn't like to use a gun because he says the recoil hurts his elbow, and he has to buy bullets. You know, has to pay for the bullets, and so he'd rather run than fight if he can. He's very bright, and he's a typical detective in that he sometimes has to get on a white horse and go save somebody, even though he really doesn't like to do that. Detective novels are his training manuals. When he gets stuck, he'll go to a Shel Scott book or a Michael Connelly book and read in it to see if there's a similar incident that he can use. The other thing about my detective that's unique is that his girlfriend is a very wealthy, and I emphasize very wealthy, massage therapist in Minneapolis. She's 6'2" in her stocking feet. And when they go out, she wears heels. So when they walk down the street holding hands, it's like this.
That's a funny setup.
It is. He's a very funny fellow, and I like him a lot, and I'm having a lot of fun with him.
So how many books have you written total?
I have 9 published books.
And more written that weren't?
More written in the works, and I'm working on some books to be published as ebooks, and just getting into that whole thing. And it's a very interesting time for authors.
That's what I was going to ask you. What is the future of book publishing? Will it be ebooks, do you think? And is everybody going that direction?
Not everybody, not all the time. Listen, the first book was an illustrated manuscript done on vellum, calfskin. They're still around. There are still people doing that, and that's thousands of years old. All right. Then Gutenberg came along, and then you're old enough to know that almost old enough to know that when television came along, people said it'll be the death of radio. Now and it wasn't. Now here we have ebooks. They're not going to be the death of books. A book, whether it's on CD or DVD or comes through an audio tape or a book that's published in paper, it's still a book. And so they're all going to be around for the foreseeable future. I don't think anybody who sees this tape, this video, I don't think anybody who sees it will still be alive when books printed on paper disappear.
Well, it's good to hear you say that, Carl, and I thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you.
We have Carl Brookins, who is one of the Minnesota Crime Wave group. He also has his own television show. He's the author of Devil's Island, the latest in his sailing series, and I appreciate your being on Voices in Mystery. Thank you.
Thank you.